Welcome to the Brew Crew Review Podcast, the show by fans for fans of your Milwaukee Brewers. Hey, welcome back, Brewer fans, to another Brew Crew Review Podcast. We're going to have a draft recap of the first two-round picks tonight, and joining me is Vince and Scott. How you guys doing?
Hey, Craig. How are you?
Good.
Doing great.
All right.
Excellent.
Well,
And
before we jump into review,
is Chad on tonight?
I'm not sure. Chad, are you there? Oh,
No.
No.
Guess not.
Okay. Sorry.
We'll review our first and second round picks, which happened on the first night of draft, and get our thoughts on that. Before we do so, we're gonna recap this past week where the Brewers split two games in Minnesota and then took 3 of 4 from the Pittsburgh Pirates, and that has catapulted them into first place in the NL Central. And I would like to kind of start off this episode by having Vince recap the fact that he was lucky enough to have been in Pittsburgh on Saturday's game, which I would consider at this point probably the game of the year so far, and the Brewers won that game 12-10 in extra innings. So, Vince, you were on the scene. Tell us a little bit about the Pittsburgh Pirates experience, the huge win the Brewers had over them on Saturday.
Oh, guys, yeah, it was a great trip. Pittsburgh is a beautiful city, as you guys know, and in fact, Craig, I think I mentioned this to you off the air, but the last time I was in Pittsburgh at all was the time that you and I went out to the game in 2008 on that epic road trip that started in Milwaukee, was in Pittsburgh, West Virginia, ended up going to Florida and Alabama, I think, and then almost got in that fight with Russell Martin in Chicago before finally getting back home. Anyway, it was my first time out there since then. A beautiful stadium. I have to say the Pirates fans are not nearly as annoying to me as Cubs fans, so it was actually a pretty pleasant environment. Beautiful stadium right on the rivers, and then that game, wow. Got there right when the gates opened pretty much, and I stuck around obviously through the end of the game, so it was a great experience all the way around. It was just a lot of fun, and fans were really into it. There were a ton of Brewer fans there, which was great. Managed to get some tickets, right just walking up to the stadium, and yeah, guys, it was a blast. It was a lot of fun to see the Brewers come back from a little adversity. When Hiura gave up that home run, a lot of people probably would have thought that the game was over at that point, but Keston Hiura, brings us right back, ties the game, and then obviously Orlando Arcia with the winning hit later on in the 13th inning. So yeah, it was fun from top to bottom, and like I said, lots of enthusiasm, lots of great Brewer fans out there.
Awesome. What a roller coaster ride of a game. The Brewers up 5-0, and then I check in later, they're down 7-5, and then Christian Yelich, I think, with a 3-run homer to give them an 8-7 lead. And then it was Starling Marte who hit the homer off Hiura to give them a 3-run blast to give them a 10-8 lead. And then the Brewers, I think, were down to one of their final outs, and Keston Hiura with a 2-run jack to tie it. And then that put them in the extras, and as you mentioned, Orlando Arcia finally came through for the Brewers in the top of the 13th. So great all-around game for sure. Definitely instant classic, so to speak. So awesome that you were able to be there.
Yeah, and I put out I sent it to our interns to put out on Twitter, but there was like this big ominous cloud hanging over the stadium, like we were about to get deluged on at any moment, and then the game ends after Arcia's hit, and then I think it was Adrian Hauser at the end. Was it Hauser or Hader at the end of the game? I forget now, but anyway, shut him down in the 13th in the Pirates home half the inning. So just amazing game from top to bottom. A lot of fun. Roller coaster is a great way to describe it, Craig.
Awesome. Now, before we get into that recap, I know we wanted to touch a little bit about also the fact that today is draft day, June 3rd, 2019, first couple rounds of the draft, and we'll recap those picks, but also a very interesting move transaction-wise to the Brewers today, and they sent down Keston Hiura, who's been up with the club for about a month and hitting pretty well, sent him down and brought up Travis Shaw. I think that was a little bit of a surprising move overall. I guess just if you want to throw out here and Scott, I guess what are your thoughts? And then Vince, if you can follow his up with what your thoughts are on that move.
I guess, obviously Travis Shaw has done, really, really great work with us for the last 2 seasons. Obviously this year he has really, really scuffled, like epically scuffled. So it is a little bit disheartening that, Hiura really did a great job while he was up here. I mean, he had 5 homers in just a couple of weeks. I mean, the guy just did really great effort. So it's a little bit disappointing because you almost feel like at this exact moment, sort of a downgrade to the roster. But, we have to have faith that Shaw is going to be able to come back. I guess maybe they were thinking that Hiura's not going to be able to get consistent at bats up here at the major league level right now. He would at most be, splitting time with Shaw, I guess, if that's the plan. I'm a little surprised that they didn't send down somebody like, Hauser or Taylor Williams or something like that to maybe keep Hiura up here. But obviously they have a different plan.
Yeah, Scott, I'll echo your thoughts on that a little bit. The Brewers have 13 pitchers on the roster right now. So the only thing I could think of, I guess there were 2 thoughts that kind of came into my head today. And Craig, you would actually know one of these better than me because I really am not sure how this works. But the first thought is, I guess, does sending Hiura down right now preserve the chance of keeping him for an extra year as far as the service time issue goes? I mean, maybe it's a matter of keeping him down in the minors for a certain number of days here in 2019. And then my second point was, maybe the Brewers are just looking to get through the Marlins series with a lot of, sort of a beefed out bullpen and pitching staff, just in the sense that, again, Saturday is the third longer games recently. I know there was an off day today, but maybe they just wanted to go with the 13-man pitching staff going into the Marlins series for just a couple of days. But I don't know. So I don't know if you know the answer to the first question, but I'm asking.
That's an interesting question. And the day that they called him up, there was some ambiguity, I guess, that was kind of the cutoff for of a day where they could actually call him up and then still get his extra year of control. However, there was still some mystery surrounding that, actually, that they actually called him up one day too early and played him one game too early, and he was in jeopardy of possibly not being able to get that that extra year of control over him. So this, I guess, will take care of that altogether. So if there was any question, it's a question no longer. So perhaps that factored in. Or the Brewers just catapulting themselves in the first place with the help of Keston. It's a little bit discerning to me that they would, play with his service time at this juncture of the season, especially when it's a good possibility, but things like that work out and extensions could be had before that and all that. So obviously, I guess if Brewer fans had any concern about that, I think their concerns are now over with this move for sure. So.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that. So Keston has to stay down in the minors for 10 days unless there's an injury of some type. So, I mean, that's the other possibility is that, maybe it's just a 10-day thing, maybe less if somebody else gets hurt. But, and our colleague Tom Audricourt didn't even bother to ask the question, and our interns didn't get us any of the research materials we asked for before the show tonight, so that's why I wasn't positive on that. But that makes a little sense to me with the service time possibly being a factor here as well.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I was a little bit taken aback by the move myself, and I don't think, in spite of Travis Shaw having 2 really good seasons for us the last 2 seasons, the fact that he just has not found his groove this year, I'd prefer him not to do that at the major league. Struggle to do that at the major league level. And he was sent down the minors and did not do well there either. So I don't think he's earned a promotion back yet, personally, but it is what it is. And let's hope for the best. And I'm sure if we're fans, we'll see Keston Hiura back up possibly even after that 10-day period of time with the club and to help us with our playoff push this year. So I'm not overly concerned, but I just thought it was a curious move for sure. So
I guess.
Right, I'd say that. Oh, sorry, Scott, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I guess the only other thing that we could consider with that 13-man bullpen is, I mean, obviously we have Chassin and Gio Gonzalez now are both on the IL or DL. I still call it DL, I guess. But I guess that might have something to do with it as well. I mean, we might not see, we're going to see some spot starts.
All right. So out of the draft recap, the Brewers had a 28th overall pick in the first round of the 2019 draft. And I know that it's been this scouting department led by scouting director Todd Johnson's, I guess, pattern over the last couple of drafts to draft hitters in the first round in particular and kind of get some pitchers between rounds 2 and 5. But this year, I think they're going against the grain a little bit, and our number 28 overall first round selection this year was left-handed pitcher Ethan Small from Mississippi State University. He was rated by most sources to go somewhere a little bit later than that, possibly 10 to 20 picks later. Some of them, people had him going in the 3rd or 5th round, but overall, definitely an interesting pick. Before I guess I'll just throw out there before you guys can make your comments, what he brings to the table, a little bit of his backstory, and that would be as a freshman at Mississippi State University, they used him out of the bullpen, and he did not fare very well there. He did then blow out his arm as a freshman, had to have Tommy John surgery. As a bullpen arm, as a freshman at Mississippi State University, he was throwing about 96 as fastball, but he had a hard time controlling it, obviously. After Tommy John's surgery, his fastball actually dipped to the range of 86 to 92 miles an hour. He actually lost velocity on the fastball, which is atypical to most Tommy John recovering athletes. But what he did do is he learned to control his fastball and actually command it even better. And he had a little bit of deceptive, funky delivery that has his fastball play up even at that velocity. And so his second best pitch is his changeup. His curveball is not the greatest, but possibly has some future potential. Obviously, the Brewers see him as a possible future starter. They wouldn't be selecting him this high. I don't know. Some people, I think Baseball America has said that he is the potential of a 5th starter. I'm hopeful that he has a higher ceiling than that, possibly a number 3 starter. With that being said, I don't know. I mean, just for Brewer, I guess I'll wait to throw out any kind of comp until you guys comment on the pick, I guess.
Well, I guess I was definitely surprised by the pick because I didn't see anyone picking him or saying that he was going to go in the first round. I thought he was more of maybe a late second. But having said that, I guess that we're banking on the fact that hopefully he's going to regain some of that velocity on that fastball. But, the control is phenomenal, and that definitely helps. I mean, that's obviously a huge part of the game. We've seen plenty of pitchers in our bullpen struggle this year with, not being able to hit the corners and get too much to the plate and just get smashed. So, I mean, I don't want to undersell that at all. But like you said, the changeup looks nice. The curveball it's just there. It's nothing. It's nothing yet. So, I was surprised with the pick, but hopefully it works out. I mean, we have a lefty right now that kind of an unorthodox delivery. Actually, we have 2, I guess, if you want to count Hiura and Claudio. So, it's obviously it's starting to turn into our MO a little bit.
Good analysis there, Scotty.
So I guess the comp that I was going to throw out for him would be kind of like a left-handed Mike Fiers. And so, again, Mike Fiers, kind of his best pitch is his changeup, but that kind of makes his fastball play up. And I think Small has got a similar repertoire. But, I mean, he did have a really phenomenal strikeout rate but that's similar to what Mike Myers did in his minor leagues also. But especially in the SEC in college ball, I mean, he struck out nearly 16 batters per inning last year. So I also saw some video footage where he seems to have some fire in the belly, so to speak, and I think that speaks to his competitiveness. So I don't know. I'm hopeful that turns out to be a really good pick. You can never have too much pitching, and wherever he would slot, and I feel like he will be a future member of the Brewers rotation, in a few years. And he won't. I also saw someone throw out there that he could be one of the fastest players from this draft to make it to the major league. So that's something that's also exciting for Brewer fans as well.
Hey guys, Mike Myers has thrown 2 no-hitters, and he's also been traded for Josh Hader. So for there's worse guys to be compared to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking along the lines of like Doug Davis with more control. I don't know if that's even a good comp, but it's all I could think of.
There's still so much time though too. I mean, I know that we've got a scouting profile of all these guys, and there's that, but there's a lot of time between when a guy gets drafted and, when he's developing through the system, things can change. And I don't get too worked up. I think that the Brewers scouts have proven that they knew what they're doing. I think David Stearns has proven that he can, successfully run a draft. And I'll put my faith in Stearns at this point until proven otherwise.
Yeah. Okay, well, that brings us to the Brewers' second-round pick, which was selected just before the start of our podcast, actually. And that would be 19-year-old pitcher out of a junior college, Anton Kelly, left-handed pitcher. He's 6'6". In junior college last year, this year, I should say, he actually struck out nearly 19 batters per 9 innings pitched. It's beyond ridiculous. But he does have control issues. His fastball is really his only major league quality pitch at this point. I also saw, I think Jim Callis threw out there and said that he had one of the highest ceilings, but also one of the highest floors in the draft. So again, this is if you want to call small more of a safer pick, so to speak, and near major league ready. I think Kelly is a little bit the opposite of that, and he will take a long time to develop. But with that being said, he could really turn out to be something good. But some people say that he could be a reliever too. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that pick.
Very possible that he could be a reliever. I mean, I saw that he was topping out at 98, which I think I had said in one of the other more recent podcasts that, you can't really teach someone to throw 98 miles an hour. So that's obviously you can pretty much coach the rest. So, yeah, it's a good start.
Yeah, again, this is a guy who I haven't seen pitch. I think that there's a decent potential with speed that you can harness that, and if he can, bring his control in line with that velocity, there's that talent and skill set that kind of already exists. So with a little coaching, a guy like that can go a long ways, and we've seen it happen with other guys before. Obviously, way too early to make any comps like this, but a high velocity guy that, again can throw hard and then harness that is a pretty valuable guy. I mean, we've seen guys who've been very wild in the minor leagues that have harnessed that and come back and been great major league pitchers, like a Randy Johnson or Josh Hader for that matter. So you take a chance on a guy like that. I don't think it's necessarily a bad pick.
Yeah, and I think just on the MLB Network coverage of the draft, they threw out there as far as like the high ceiling, a David Price type. Obviously, he doesn't have anywhere near the secondary pitches Price had coming out of college, but and then for the lower end, well, the ceiling could be completely. I mean, the floor could be completely flame out never even sniff the majors, but even for a mid-range outcome for at the MLB level, they threw out Amir Garrett, who's a reliever, a tall left-handed reliever for the Reds, as a comp, and I thought that was pretty apropos too. That could be something he turns into too. So I mean, that has its own value. And we saw, similarly range pick we traded for Alex Claudio. So, those bullpen arms are valuable as well. So, all in all, two left-handed pitchers added to the system. So not a bad haul for the first day of the draft.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Craig, are you expecting anything of the later rounds of this draft, or are we kind of just it's kind of whoever we pick at this point?
Well, I have, read that this is one of the weaker drafts in quite a long time overall, which means after these first, 5 rounds, I mean, it's going to be kind of a complete crapshoot of talent, and there might not be that much. So you do really have to hit on almost lottery ticket-wise on a couple of gems in later rounds. But I'll be interested to see who our, 3rd through 5th round picks are, and I think that we'll probably add a couple bats with those picks. I don't expect us to go all pitch in the first 5 rounds, but right now there's so many people out there on the board. One of the players I'm not even sure has been picked yet that I had was one of my favorites of the Brewers' first round pick. Tyler Callahan did not get drafted yet, which usually is a sign that he was really wanting to honor his commitment to go to college rather than sign. So that's how guys like that get passed over. So I assume that's the case. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think that with the perception anyway that this isn't, or that this is, I guess, not one of the stronger drafts, do you think that might mean that Stearns looks a little bit more toward high school players that maybe are a little bit, harder to gauge?
Well, and again, even though Kelly was out of junior college, he's only 19, so he's only, I believe, pitched 1 year in junior college. So, I mean, to me, he is just like a high upside high school pick for the most part, especially how raw he is. I mean, the last couple of years, the Brewers have really gone for the high school high ceiling hitters, so to speak, with like Trang and others, but and then have kind of targeted more college pitchers actually in rounds 3 through 6, so to speak. One guy that landed last year, I think I mentioned recently, was Drew Rasmussen, because he was coming back from injury. I think they got him in the 5th or 6th round last year, and he's pitching well this year in the minor league. So I would expect a few more picks like that, but I think that they might be going against the grain. Sorry, JB, apparently got up out of bed a little bit, and he was very crazy. But anyway, so pretty much, that's. I think they might go against the grain and go for maybe some college hitters at this point, but I guess we'll see.
Craig, are you saying that because you're guessing or because you got that from our anonymous source, Tom Carter?
Oh, Vince. Tom Carter, he mentioned he wanted to sort of stay anonymous with this. He was hoping we'd go with Tom C. or maybe T. Carter. I guess we should probably hammer that out in one of our next pre-production meetings.
Oh, sorry about that.
No big deal. No big deal. I'm sure you won't mind. It's not the first time we've made this mistake.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. Sorry, Tom.
That's right, Tom.
Sorry,
if
Mr.
you
Carter.
lose your job, we'll be there for you. But anyway, so I mean, a good first day of the draft, and I'm sure the Brewers will add some more quality talent to their system next 2 days. And then basically on top of that, the Brewers are in first place here as we enter June, and that's a good place to be. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season, that's for sure.
Sounds good. I am as well, guys. It's going to be fun. That series up in Pittsburgh really boosted my spirits. Not that they needed it, but it was pretty exciting to see some Brewers baseball. I hadn't seen the Brewers play since opening day. So very exciting, and looking forward to it. It's going to be a very fun few months here, guys. Nice to be in first place.
I think we should maybe wrap up this podcast by also mentioning that there's also something that Brewer fans have been looking forward to for the last almost 2 full seasons, and that is the triumphant, hopefully, return of right-handed pitcher Jimmy Nelson, who will be making his return to the big leagues shortly after you're probably listening to this podcast against the Marlins at home at Miller Park. And, it's been a long time coming, so we wish Jimmy well.
Yeah, that's also big news. You're right. Any speculation on who's going to be sent down when Jimmy comes back up? We haven't really heard anything yet.
Well, I know that they just brought up Jacob Barnes and Taylor Williams to cover the bullpen after that extra inning game. So I assume one of those guys will get shuttled back out, but that's a total guess, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, probably a good one, though, too. Yeah, that would make some sense. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Jimmy can do. He had a really good start his last time out for AAA San Antonio.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, I think no matter.
Very exciting. No, he definitely looked good in his last outing. And this is a week that I think we can actually I'm hoping that we have a really good week here because we got a 6-game homestand now, basically. 3 with the Marlins and 3 with the Pirates again. So it should be a good week, hopefully.
I'll predict we'll go 6-0 with that slate of games.
That's exciting, Craig. I like it. I'm going to say 4-2 this week if we're doing predictions.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say 4-2 as well. I really want to throw out 5-1, but it seems like it's a little bit of a reach. And then also on Saturday, if you want, the theme night for this Saturday is Stranger Things Day. So if for some reason you needed to have another reason to go to the ballpark on a Saturday afternoon to watch baseball, I guess you should do something with whatever that show is.
That's great, Scott. Good promotional skills right there. Yeah, good promo. Oh, hey, Scott, by the way, I tried that pulled pork that you asked me to try in PNC Park.
All right. What would you grade it?
It was pretty damn good. Yeah, I'd say A-. It was very good. Yeah, no, it was very good.
Wow.
Tried a hot dog as well. Tried a good amount of ballpark food. So yeah, I rated Pittsburgh pretty high overall. And in fact, already planning on going back for the series a month from now. In well, I guess it's the first week of July. So already planning a return trip to PNC because it's fairly close to me out here in Washington. So 4 hours is nothing.
All right. Well, I think we're out of time for this podcast. So thanks for tuning in again, Brewer fans.
All
right. I would like all the residents of West House to remember, stay classy.
Yep. Go Brewers. Stay classy, guys.
Go Brewers. Go new Brewers, too. Go Brewers.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right. Let's wrap.